Hi, in this video we are going to discuss the naming convention used in Java. So for any language, naming convention is very important to identify the language or to identify the flow of code by different developers. Okay, so this topic is very important for the beginning of the Java developer. Okay, so what are the naming conventions that is being used? So this particular snippet, whatever is mentioned here, actually picked from the Oracle official documentation site. Okay, so let's say for package, the prefix of a unique package name is always written in all lowercase character, ASCII letters, and should be one of the top level domain names. And currently, like com, edu, government, mil, net, org, like that should be the first character normally, and subsequent components of the package name vary according to the organization's own internal naming convention. Such convention might specify that certain directory name components by division, department, project, or machine. So, based on the uh, class present in that particular package, your name should be like that. So, let's say this is one of the example from official sign like com.sun.eng, com.apple.quicktime.v2, edu. So in my own YouTube document also, whenever I have created the like the some class example, let's say for this com.interview, let's say I have created all the particular classes for interview related document purpose, so that is com.interview. In some cases like com interview, I mentioned the specific for collection category, I mentioned some class created class, so that should be inside this package. So naming convention com.interview.collection, so like that. Okay, and also like for normal Java, if you check, so Java lang integer, Java lang, let's say number, for let's say map, then Java util map. Okay, so it is the utility of Java. So based on the requirement, you need to create your package name. Package name should be always small character and should be divided by the domain, department, project, machine, like that, starting with the main domain name, then project name maybe, and then the actual utility or actual area where the class belongs to, then the class name. So class name should be nouns. In a mixed case, it will be a first letter of the each internal word should be capitalized, and try to keep your class name simple and descriptive actually, and use whole words. Avoid acronyms, abbreviation unless the abbreviation is much more widely used than long form such as URL, HTML. So why it is required? Because class name should be like from looking into the class name, some any other person can able to identify what is the class meant for. Okay, so let's say integer, we know that the purpose of that to handle with the integer. Let's say suppose we have a class, let's say here in my example, let's say collection example, I array list test. So by looking into this particular class, someone should identify, okay, this class will be some test case or some example that belongs to only array list is written here. So it should not be mixed with other kind of list, so only array list should be written, or related to the array list some examples should be written in that particular class. So map test will only belong to the map related test. Okay, same thing like enums, I have mentioned created so many class, so operation, size map, size enum. So based on the your purpose, your class name should be exactly that. And convention is the first capital, first letter will be capital, and then what for new extra word it should be again capital, so it is in like that manner. So interface name should be capitalized. So another point is class name should be noun. So always you remember this part, your class name always should be a noun. Here raster or image file is noun. Okay, next is the interface. So interface should be capitalized like class name, so it is same thing like same convention of class name we should follow for interface also. So let's say if I go to any interface, it is a map interface. So if I go to, let's say, other interface, here I have not done created any interface. So if I check my example, maybe there is no interface, but let's say the serial callback context. This is one serializable. This is one interface. So this same convention it is also follow. Okay. Next is methods. So methods should be always verb, and in mixed case it should be like camel case character, like it should be first starting with the small letter, and then it should be for every word it will be in capital, starting with capital letter, like run, run fast, get background, like that. So also in my example if you check, so let's say one of the last example I have created for, let's say, map. Okay, so here try to create like compute example. So it is a verb. Compute if absent, it is also a verb. So all the method should be a verb, method name should be a verb, that you should always remember. So, and this is not as per good example like map sample, it is not a good example. Maybe we can create like we can exam, or let's say test example, or test map. This kind of method should be meaningful, but okay, for explanation purpose is okay. Okay, for variable, so variable naming convention, like should, variable name is very important in any programming language. Okay, so it is also normally follow the same convention like method convention, starting with small character and then camel case. And normally it is saying like variable name should not be starting with the underscore and dollar sign character, even though it is allowed, maybe it is not, we should not use it. And also one character variable name, it is like we do normally in when we start our programming career with C++ language, then just ijk, it should not be there. Mainly whatever by like when we can do this kind of variable naming convention, let's say in a particular for loop, it is a very temporary in nature, and for the index or for the counter we can use that. Even though I will recommend not to use that, always use a meaningful variable name. Either it is for counter, maybe in your program there may be multiple counter, you should mention like counter for this particular purpose. So let's say counter for balance, counter for amount, like that. So your variable name should be very specific to the program you are writing, and it will be helpful for further whenever you want to debug the program in future. Okay, constant. So constant ideally should be always in capital character, uppercase. Okay, and also the, let's say, mean width. So you need to separate the words of constant by using underscore. This is the normal design practice. So normally whenever you are writing public static final string or like that, you should always do that. So in my example also you could see, let's say if I go to the initial level example where I maybe mention some constant here, this particular example, let's say this is one constant, does not matter what is the name, but let's say this is the value, so this is the constant, so always capital and divided by words by underscore. And in integer class, if you check mean value, max value, they use the same practice, so we should keep in mind. So that's all. So for this particular session you always go through this naming convention again and again, and it is Java based practice. Okay, thank you.